This is the Crowd Crux Crowdfunding Podcast with Sal Brigman, where we cover everything you need to know to launch a successful crowdfunding campaign. We speak with proven entrepreneurs who've raised money from the crowd and want to teach you how to do the same. Stay tuned because we're about to reveal how to launch your dream project. With your host, Sal Brigman.
Before we get started with this podcast episode, I want to take a second to introduce you to my friends at Fulfillrite. If you need help shipping out your Kickstarter or Indiegogo perks or rewards, Fulfillrite is the absolute best company for you. I've been working with them for a while and I can vouch for their services. They make it dead simple and take all of the headache out of shipping out all of those boxes, all of those orders to your backers and your customers. If you want to check them out, go to fulfillrite.com at fulfillrite.com. What up, crowdfunders? Salvador Brigman here. Welcome back to the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. If you've never tuned into the show, first of all, go and check out some of the other archives of this podcast. I have a lot of great episodes out there. But second of all, welcome. And on this show, we talk about how to raise money successfully with a crowdfunding campaign. So we're talking about raising money on Kickstarter, raising money on Indiegogo. How do you actually go about doing that? You know, how do you actually get funding? How do you get traffic? How do you get backers? How do you actually even come up with the idea to raise money with crowdfunding and launch an entirely new business online? It's very intimidating. It's very frightening. But I try to bring on guests who not only have been there and done it, you know, they've successfully raised money on Kickstarter, but they're also people that are just like you. You know, they don't have any kind of like special charisma or just tons of money. They're exactly like you. They've worked hard on the product and they're pushing it out there into the world and they're seeing how people respond to it. Today's podcast episode, I brought a guest on the podcast who not only has surpassed his $50,000 goal, he's right now raised over $300,000 on Kickstarter, and it's currently ongoing for the next 28 days. You can get your pledge in for the Hoppii campaign, HOPII. Not only has he had great success on Kickstarter, but he also did a ton of learning leading up to the launch of this campaign. He, number one, enrolled in my first course, the Smash Your Kickstarter Goal course. He's also enrolled in the Complete Crowdfunding PR System. That is my latest course on PR. He's been a listener of this podcast, followed my blog articles, like all that kind of stuff. He's done everything right when it comes to the actual preparation phase of the campaign. And it has certainly paid off, seeing as he's raised, at the time I'm looking at this, about $328,000 on Kickstarter. So this is showing you that you, the person listening to this show, can do the same thing. You can successfully raise money on Kickstarter. All you need to do is, number one, you need to be willing to make this a priority in your life. Number two, you have to be willing to work hard. You have to be willing to get feedback and criticism and put yourself out there. But number three, you also have to reach out to the right mentors. You have to be willing to educate yourself a little bit. You have to have a proven plan for success going into the launch. You can't just be like launching and being like, okay, now what? You know, a lot of the campaigns will do that and they won't end up getting any kind of funding. You have to know, you have to have a proven plan in place for how you're going to get a burst of funding right out of the gate. So with this episode, we're going to get into the strategies this entrepreneur used to get funding, how they actually were able to get a surge in pledges, how they actually organized their entire team behind the project. I think that's actually one of the better things this entrepreneur has been really good about. And lastly, his takeaways from my learnings, my course, my education I put out there. He also shares that with you in case you're interested in either checking out one of my online courses or my books or anything like that. He shares a little bit of that behind the scenes. If you would like to enroll in my free course, which goes through how to get backers, how to actually get into the media, how to get attention, and goes through also some of the psychological tricks and triggers to get people to back your campaign on Kickstarter, you can go and check out this link, crowdcrux.com/crowdfunding. That is crowdcrux.com/crowdfunding, all one word. And you'll be taken to a page where you can enter your email address, and you'll start getting emails from me. And also, a lot of this is free education, but at the end of the email sequence, I will also introduce you to my premium products, some of the courses where I've laid out for you exactly how to get funding on Kickstarter. A lot of the stuff we talk about on this podcast goes very high level. With these courses, with my more of my premium training, I go through step by step exactly what you need to do. I give you the blueprint, if you will. This is the proven plan for actually raising money. I share all of that with you, along with there are usually some other bonuses there, like access to some of my books or even mentorship with me. There are some other things that I include in these offerings. It kind of varies also from quarter to quarter what I'm willing to include or as a bonus for these different things. But without further ado, let's get into today's podcast episode and learn how this entrepreneur raised over $300,000 on Kickstarter and got into a bunch of media publications. Jong, welcome to the podcast. It's been a pleasure for me just to watch how much you've grown in the last few months. You've been doing so many different things related to your Kickstarter campaign. You've had a great first week. You've also been a very coachable student of mine. That's something that I think is actually really rare. And I want to give the listeners a little bit of an idea of who you are and also how you got into crowdfunding. So I know that crowdfunding is one thing you can do among many. You can launch companies without crowdfunding. When did you actually begin to think of launching a Kickstarter campaign?
Sure. So I've been thinking about it for a while, actually. I had previous experiences in doing a startup. And while I was working on that company, crowdfunding came into my mind. And I've always been thinking that, right, if we get that far, then we will do a crowdfunding, because it's not only about money, but it's about getting our word out there to people and let people know that, hey, we're here, and please help us to not only purchase and utilize a product, but also come with a journey with us, right? I want more people to come with us and work this together to make it happen. And more support that we get, then we'll be able to have a more successful product, especially be able to get their comments and lessons learned, to be able to create better products and give them a sense of better feel, so that people become more familiar and more comfortable with our product. So I wanted people to come in on this journey with us. And this came true not on my first company, but now my second company. So that's exactly how we came about.
That's actually one of the reasons I also love crowdfunding, is because there's that interaction and there's that community, and you have all of these people who now know who you are and know the product, and you can answer their questions, you can interact with them. So I think crowdfunding's really cool for that reason. What was the other company that you were working on before the Kickstarter?
Sure. So my life has been in the mobile industry. So I've been creating cell phones. And I've had a concept on a brand new cell phone with a brand new experience. So I've been working on that. That involved mobile virtualization.
Okay, so were you doing, I guess, the actual physical phone, like all the hardware, that kind of stuff? Or are you more of like a marketer or a project manager? Where does your skill set sort of lie?
Product management. So I'm a product guy. I want to be able to create the best products that have best experiences for people. So that's where my passion has been all my life.
Very cool. This newer product that you've launched on Kickstarter, this is in a very different industry than that first company. So I want to learn, or at least we want to get your thoughts on, how did this idea come into your mind? Like, how did you actually think to create this product? And can you also share with the listeners what the product is?
Sure, absolutely. So first of all, it came from passion. Combining passion with the skills and experiences that I've had all my life. That is how we came about with this product. Our product is called Happy. It's a brand new concept of home brewing device where, very similar to some of the coffee machines, you plug in pods, you press start, your work is done. The device has all the knowledge that's needed to brew the freshest, best tasting beer that you will ever have for you. It comes with, you're able to purchase beer kits from breweries that may be really far away for you to come and go and enjoy their beers. Instead of you having to go over there, we're having now breweries come to you so that we give you the freshest ingredients that are made by them. You put into the device, when you press start, it will recognize exactly what beer you're brewing in the device. And utilizing smart algorithms and sensors, it will be able to brew the beers to perfection according to the brewer's recipe.
Wow.
So when you're drinking it, you're just getting the freshest, best tasting version of the beer you'll ever have, as if you're drinking it right from the tank.
That honestly sounds like magic.
That's where... Thank you. Initially, that's what I thought as well. But the beers really taste amazing. So that's what I'm really happy about.
How did you actually come up with this? Because, I mean, I could think of like, wow, that'd be really cool to have. But how did you actually come up with the germ of the idea?
So this came from a huge pain point that we had. So we are a huge craft beer fanatic. We love craft beer. We're drinking this every day, and we like to try new flavor of craft beers every single day. Then one day we got transferred into a different region where the craft beer scene was just starting to grow up, right? But there we tried to find some great beers, but unfortunately we could not. Only thing that were available were bottled beers, and some of them were from California, so we're drinking them. And because it took a very long time for those bottled beers to get transferred over to this region, it didn't taste as good as they're supposed to be. Especially, I've had experiences in drinking from their brewery. It tasted completely different. So one day we went to a brewery that was supposed to be the biggest and most famous in that region. And we ordered their best beer and we drank them. And it was horrible. I'm like, how can they drink this thing? Mm-hmm. So literally, without even thinking, the word, oh my God, this is the worst beer I've ever had. And this just came out of my mouth and I was shouting, right? So bad. And people heard me. And one of the people that heard me was the brewmaster.
Oh,
so he
man.
comes over, he points at me and he goes, you come over here. So he takes me to the backstage where they're brewing the beer. And he takes a glass and pours a glass of beer right from the tank. And he gives to me and he goes, try this. So, okay, fine. So I'm drinking this and I'm like, oh my God, this is an amazing beer. I told him, it's amazing taste. What is it? And he goes, it's the exactly same beer that you had outside, but this one's fresh.
Oh, wow. So that freshness just made such the difference there.
Oh, huge difference. Huge difference. I mean, freshness really does make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And this is where we thought, oh my God, unfortunately, only the people who are able to have this experience are the brewers. Why?
They're lucky.
Why?
Yeah, they're lucky.
Exactly. They're very lucky. I'm like, what have us craft beer drinkers done wrong to not be able to experience this amazing experience? This is wrong. There has to be something has to be done about this. So we came up with the concept of Happy to resolve the two pain points that we have experienced. Number one, to make sure that people, or the craft beer lovers out there, be able to experience this experience that only the brewmasters can have. And number two, be able to drink your favorite brewery's beers, no matter where you are. Because in this region, I wanted to drink the beloved California beers that I'm very used to, and I couldn't, especially in the freshest taste we can. So this is how Happy came about.
One of the things that I thought when I literally just looked at it, number one is the really cool design. Like you think of a brewing tank or you think of making beer, it just seems really messy. It seems like you'd need a lot of different equipment and ingredients and that kind of stuff. But this almost looks like a Keurig or something that you can literally just put on your kitchen counter. So I thought that was really cool when I first saw the product. The other thing that I thought was really cool is, I don't know, like as a young kid, when I was first growing up, you have all of these different visions for your life. And like maybe you want to fly a plane or maybe you want a really fast car. And one of the dreams I always had was to be able to brew my own beer. And you maybe try and do it like you try to do it one time. And it's just really messy. There are a lot of ingredients. You have to get the timing right. It doesn't always, taste the way that you want it to. It's just kind of like, this wasn't really what I was hoping for. So the fact that you can put all of this into one elegant machine, you can literally just have it do its work. And then, 5 days later, you have a nice, fresh tasting beer you can share with your buddies. Like, that sounds really cool to me.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm not a brewer myself. I'm just a really, really heavy craft beer lover. And we thought there are more people like me in this world, right? So we're thinking about what would these people care about that really want to enjoy the craft beer. So number one, it's being able to have a premium experience, right? It's being able to showcase the device and be able to put this anywhere in the house and be able to look beautiful and be proud of it, right? This is the type of experience that we want to give to our users. So we said design has to be beautiful. You cannot have anything else connected to it. Only thing you have to do is plug it in and be ready to go, right? And again, it has to be small, it has to be beautiful, has to go anywhere in the house, including man cave, kitchen, and so forth. Great thing is we have an amazing designer who has experiences in designing home experiences for over 10 years, and he had numerous awards and stuff. So we had the right person designing it, so we got really lucky. And then we said, okay, the other sort of passion or fetish that I had is exactly like what you said. I don't know how to brew, and I'm probably going to be a really horrible brewer if I even try. And I'm pretty lazy as well myself. So all the cleaning that you have to do, etc., I won't be able to do. But at the same time, I want to try to brew. And there must be a lot of people who are like me in this world. So how can we help them to satisfy their desire without actually needing to know how to brew, right?
Yeah.
And there's a near segment that you mentioned, and that's the coffee cup brewers, right?
Yeah, Keurig.
Exactly same thing. Exactly, Keurig. Exactly same thing is probably happening there as well. People wanted to be able to brew a great cup of coffee without too much hassle. And after Keurig came out and espresso came out, it became huge. So we said, maybe people, right? For example, my wife has an espresso. So what she does is she puts in a cup, she presses a button and creates a coffee, and she goes, I made this for you, right? Mm-hmm. So we thought maybe that's it. So if we had created a device that's extremely easy to use, that does everything for you in a perfect taste kind of way, but all they have to do is put the ingredients and press start. Yeah, and when they're done, they can say, I brewed this for you.
The other cool thing I think is that you can get the beer from different breweries. So you can sort of have that like cosmopolitan element where you're trying different types of beers from different breweries. So I think that's really cool as well. But at the same time, the way you talk about this, it almost seems like you had this perfect launch plan and then you launched it on Kickstarter. You've already raised over $300,000. Like I've looked through, your preparation process, and you actually went through a lot of different prototypes. You actually went through like a lot of different mock-ups and such. Like this wasn't like you just had this idea and then you made it. Like, can you tell the audience a little bit about the hard work you put into testing this and making it the product that we see today?
Sure, absolutely. In fact, the vision probably has changed numerous times since we first started. And it does, because now you're going through a lot of iterations, right? You try one thing, it doesn't work. You have to try another thing, it doesn't work. Then you have to try another thing. And that's exactly what happened. It's not straightforward. When we first started, we said, we're just going to create something that's simple, easy to do, and just help people to ferment. Then, right, from a device perspective, right, then we'll be able to do what we need to do. And then we're learning more about brewing. And in order to make brewing happen, you have to meet this requirement, you have to meet that criteria. And we had to think about all these different things. So there were lots of learning that happened along the way. And as those learnings happened, we had to change our prototypes and even change the design and everything. So if you compare what we first had, which is a simple fermentation device, to what we have today, which is extremely complex, high-tech, probably the biggest high-tech machine that will be on your counter. It's completely different. For example, if you think about how beer, if you want to have the best taste ever, has to be a completely closed system. In order to make it a complete closed system, you have to make sure that no oxygen, no sun, no light, no heat comes into play. Also, for example, if you're doing things like dry hopping, then you have to open up the container to put dry hops in. But when you do that, oxygen comes in, right? And potentially light hits it. So it makes the taste go bad. So how do we create a new dry hopping schema so that these don't happen, so we can still keep it completely closed? That kind of idea had to spring up, and a lot of patents came from here as well. Completely new technologies never seen before. So if you look at the device today, it's extremely high tech. Again, comparing against day one, which is very simple. It's completely different, and I think migration happens.
So it didn't start there, but after learning and making mistakes, you eventually got it to that point of where you originally had that vision. I also want to get into here. So your original goal, your funding goal was $50,000. It's available now. You can pledge on Kickstarter. Right now, you have over $300,000 that you've raised. Can you share with the listeners how exactly you were able to surpass your fundraising goal just like so early? I had to interrupt this podcast episode because I want to introduce you to my friends at The Gadget Flow. Their product discovery platform reaches 22 million people per month. They've helped more than 5,000 crowdfunding campaigns thus far, and they have a social media following of more than 700,000 followers. If you want to gain access to their marketplace and list your own product, you can go to thegadgetflow.com/submit and list your project today.
Well, first of all, I listened to you.
Thank you.
You gave me so many great tips, and they all worked. So if you want to be able to have a great launch, listen to Sal. That's my number one advice.
Thank you.
No, thank you for all the great advice. So we prepped well, I think. It was a lot of work that went into it. There's a lot of things to do. Email list, anywhere from email list preparations to marketing to PR, just getting the word out there. Facebook, SNSs. I mean, there are a lot of work that was involved to make sure that is prepped and ready to go before we start our Kickstarter campaign. So by the time we started our Kickstarter campaign, we've already had a very good number of products that were already sort of pledged, right? I've gotten commitments from people that they will pledge because they really love our product and concept. And many of these people are also people who have seen our device and tried the beer as well. So that was good.
Mm-hmm. How long before the actual launch of the campaign were you doing this? Like, how long were you starting to build a bit of a buzz, starting to get email subscribers and, begin to get people interested in this product? How long before the launch were you doing that?
Oh, that's a great question. I say about 4 months.
Okay.
4 or 5 months.
That's a good amount of time. Yeah.
Yeah. So the funny thing is now, right after we started this, right? So we just sent out a couple of Facebook ads and things like that. Sent out a couple of emails. I went to a conference. And in the conference, I displayed our product, right? I didn't know anybody. Nobody knew us. I'm displaying the product, and I'm sitting down in the chair. And all of a sudden, people started coming. They said, "Oh, my God, so this is it." I was like, "What's it?" And they're like, This is the beer machine making device. I'm like, "Yeah, do you know about us?" And he goes, "Yeah, the word is going around."
Really?
So there was
Wow.
one. Yeah, that was an awesome moment. The other one is I went to a brewery. I'm sitting there and I had my happy t-shirt and everything. And people started to come and talk to me. They go,
Really?
so you're the happy guy. Yeah, you're the happy guy. Yeah, do you know us? It's like, yeah, the word is going around. Whenever I'm with my drinking buddies, we talk about you. So those were really good experiences. And yeah.
That's awesome. Where do you think they heard about you? Like, was this on Facebook? You think they found you, or maybe from your email list? Where do you think they discovered you or learned about your product?
What these guys told me was that the word is going around. People are talking about you, and there's a lot of good word of mouth going on. This was when we were first starting out. Then
Yeah.
afterwards, we had some tasting events and things like that as well on top of that. So
Okay.
I think it went big. But initially, that's what happened.
That's always really exciting to see that people are having that kind of a response. And it's pretty clear that that means they think your product is very innovative, or they think that what you're doing is really cool, sort of pushing the edge and the boundary of at least how craft beer is drunk now. So I think that's pretty cool. So I think that's just phenomenal. The fact that people are coming up to you, they're talking about your product is just a testament to the fact that your product solves a problem and that it's really innovative. I do want to get your thoughts, though, for the individuals in the audience who are thinking of launching a Kickstarter campaign. They're thinking of raising money with crowdfunding. What advice would you impart to them, having done this launch process yourself?
Sure. So mentors like you, right, gave me amazing advices, and right, if I didn't have those advices, that would have gotten me into a lot more trouble. But because I was able to learn from other people, right, and from their other people's experiences, I was able to take that in, and that's one of the reasons why I don't think I started from ground zero. I think I was able to start from 50% because I was able to learn from other people, and I think that's extremely critical and extremely valuable. So all the advices that you're getting from other people who are successful, or even people who had failure but had a lot of great lessons learned, great mentors from somebody like you, Sal, extremely valuable. I would strongly recommend that you listen, and then you can start from a much better ground up than ground zero.
One of the things that I just love about the way that you've done your project is that you've really assembled a great team. I think you're very good at team building. You're very good at building an organization or having people on your team who can execute on the product. And probably that's the project management background, I'm guessing.
Thank you so much. First of all, I think I got very lucky because one thing I do agree with you, we do have an amazing team. The people who are working on this project are amazing, very experienced and very hardworking. And quite honestly, I'm not sure if it's coming from me. I haven't done much, but these people have strong passion. And I think that's where it actually came from, and being able to build a strong team.
Do you have any advice on the point of building a strong team, how to actually scout people who are talented, or how to assemble them as a part of your team? Do you have any advice on that front?
Sure. So one thing, the first biggest thing that I look for is passion, right? So if the person you're talking to, no matter how great experience that they may have or how great of a person they may be, if they don't have a passion on your product, then it's not going to work because they won't be excited. If you're working on, like, for example, like us, a beer product, you want to get somebody who loves beer, right? And they can talk about beer 24 hours and be able to say, hey, look, we're going to make this happen no matter what happens because this is our passion and it's going to disrupt the world. Right? Getting those kind of people is most important in my mind. And once you're able to recruit those people with strong passion, then you'll be able to build a great team, because now all of a sudden you have everybody who has something in common. Everybody loves beer, and they're talking about beer 24/7. And in order to bring this experience, because they know the pain points as well, right? And they want to be able to solve these pain points. And these are not coming from money; these are coming from passion. And again, no matter what happens, we will make this happen, is the mindset that they would have. And therefore, you will be able to drive these projects to success. And that has been my experience as well.
when you're actually leading this team, you're leading this team with sometimes an uncertain product or one that's shifting. How do you actually set where the vision for the future is? How is it that you articulate that, or how do you decide what your goal should be from day one?
Think about what kind of experience you want to bring to the user, and what will make a difference. What will make them to get excited? When do you have to launch? All that should be set from a user perspective, right? And this also goes back to the passion thing, because now you're one of them and you're able to understand better on what they're looking for and things. So once you focus on users and set all the goals based on the users, then I think that's a great starting point. From then on, you go to the next tier. Okay, in order to make this happen, what kind of goals do you have to set? Technical goals, business goals. And then from then on, you set another goal, like how much funding you have to raise, et cetera, et cetera. So I think if you start from a user perspective, I don't think you can go wrong.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really well said. It's also, you're sort of using that to inform not only the values for the company, but also the marketing, the message that you're sharing with the world. It sort of is like, it's sort of going throughout your entire organization, from the values to your mission to the wording you're using on the campaign. It kind of all coalesces in that way. So that's really cool to me. The other thing I wanted to ask you here, Jong, was while I have you here on the podcast, what would you say that you've taken away from my content? The course, whether it's on PR or Kickstarter or marketing, is there one or maybe two things you could share with the listeners on what you learned or what you took away from that?
Oh my God, a lot. Too many to list. But strong preparation was one of the big ones. And also what I mentioned previously, which is I listened to other people. They actually came from you as well. The biggest lessons learned like that that I've gotten was from you when we had our conversations, as well as I listened to many of your podcasts, and those were extremely helpful from that perspective. Know who to talk to, or what kind of people to target, how to prepare the page, how to do the marketing, how to do the PR. All those techniques and the tips that helped us to become successful. I say about like 80 to 90% came from you, and learned a lot from you. And as a result, if you look at our page, I think our preparation went pretty well. We have now over 70 to 80 publications who published us.
That's incredible.
So we've had some. Thank you. And we have several more coming that are huge names. So looking forward to that. But all those, especially the foundations of making that happen, came from you. And if you weren't there, Sal, we wouldn't have been able to have this success. So I want to take this opportunity to give you a huge thanks again for that.
Thank you so much for that. And I've also learned a lot from you, specifically with our phone calls, those kinds of sessions. I've learned a lot just watching you assemble this team as well, and getting this very technical but also sleek design product made. I think that's a really big challenge. And I always learn something, I think, also on my end when we're doing the coaching session. So that's really cool as well.
Thank you.
The sort of the last question that I want to ask you here, Jong, is looking forward, you have 28 days to go. You've already hit the $300,000 level. You have a bunch of backers and comics, etc. What do you want to share with the listeners? Are you going to be making any kind of announcements? You mentioned a few new PR pieces that are coming about. Can you share with the listeners sort of a message that for what they should be expecting for the next few days, and where they can actually go find you online, honestly? I'm speaking to the crowdfunders in the audience who have already launched a Kickstarter campaign, or have actually even successfully run a campaign. And the reason is, I think you will understand this pain point most. And that is, when you finally do raise money on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, The hardest part is not collecting the cash. The hardest part is shipping out all of those perks and rewards to your backers. It is a nightmare, my friends. It's a lot of spreadsheets, it's a lot of headache, and it's a lot of stress. That's why I recommend BackerKit. If you have not heard of BackerKit, they help you collect surveys, they help you collect data, and the entire fulfillment process is just so much easier and so many less spreadsheets when you use their software. You can check them out at backerkit.com and use CrowdCrux for a special discount.
Oh, sure, absolutely. So let's say about a third of our campaign has finished. We have about 2/3 still to go. If we say first third was more about here's the experience that we want to be able to deliver to you, have a look and please join us in this journey. Now, the rest of 2/3, we're going to be focusing about, okay, now what are you looking for? I want to be able to make sure that you have the best experience. I want to listen to you and create this for you so that we can drive the rest of the campaign together with you as a team to make this happen. So that's where focus is going to be going from here onwards. Just to give you one example, we've had lots and lots of requests for something called Brewer's Mode. Which basically enables you to brew your own beer with Happy. Initially, before we started the campaign, we were sort of against that for certain reasons. Especially we want to deliver the best experience at the breweries. But after listening to all these people who were requesting it, we thought, even if you're still brewing the beer, your own beer with Happy, you can still enjoy the best brewers beers. In fact, because people who are looking to brew their own beer will join our community, and these people will also want to experience other brewers beers, we'll be able to grow this even further and get a great perspective from different people to be able to make this even better. So we said, there are a lot of people who's requesting for this. Let's give it to them. So today, actually, we made an announcement as a stretch goal to give Brewer's Mode only for Kickstarter people, only for Kickstarter backers, and with a stretch goal.
And what's the stretch goal that you're aiming to hit for that to be unlocked?
$500,000, which is not too far away.
Yeah, that's actually really achievable. I was looking through your comment section too, and I see that a lot of people are just loving the product. They are mentioning the Brewer's Mode, like you said. So it's kind of cool. You're using the feedback there to basically guide where this product is going and sort of what you're doing with the campaign.
Yeah, thank you. It's all about users, right? This is my belief, right? It's all about users. We need to be able to deliver what they're looking for. So from here onwards, we'll be listening to them a lot. For example, what kind of breweries are you looking for us to partner with? What kind of other functionalities do you want us to bring? What kind of experiences that you want us to have? We'll be getting a lot of feedbacks, and we'll be listening to our users, and we'll be bringing their experiences that they're looking for onto Happy so that it makes them happier.
Great. Well, I'm excited to watch your progress. You've already had a lot of media publications you've been on. You've already surpassed your goal, reaching towards that new stretch goal. So I'm looking forward to seeing where your project goes from here. And I also think it's a product where I can see a lot of potential over time. I can see a lot of people, once you actually have one of these devices, being able to brew from different craft breweries, being able to brew your own. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do with this going forward. So I think that's going to be really cool too.
Thank you. And there are a lot of new experiences that we are thinking about to introduce as well. For example, being able to take the beer that you just brewed to picnic and be able to maintain the freshest taste you will ever have outside with your family and friends. So new experiences coming soon as well.
And where can people go and check you out online? Is there a URL? Should they just type Hoppy into Kickstarter? Where should they go?
Oh, sure. Thank you. So there are two ways to do this. First is go to Kickstarter.com and type Happy, and you'll be able to find us. Second way is we created a short link, which is http://bestbeer.us, bestbeer.us. So that'll also take you there as well.
Okay, and Hoppii is HOPII, your personal
Yes.
microbrewery. Neat.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing some of those lessons that you've learned. Also, some of the things that go sort of behind the scenes for assembling a team, for getting a bunch of people that are experts in their industry to work with you. I appreciate you sharing all that kind of stuff. And I look forward to seeing how your campaign progresses. We might have to do a follow-up for this as you guys continue to get even more funding on Kickstarter.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And I've been a huge fan of yours. And as I listened to your podcast, I was like, someday I hope I can be on the podcast as well someday. And I think today my dream came true. So I really appreciate this. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you so much for this, Sal.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Crowdfunding Demystified podcast. Again, my name is Salvador Brigman. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. If you did, take a second to shoot me an email, shoot me a tweet, shoot me an Instagram DM or something like that, letting me know that you liked this episode. I always really appreciate any kind of stories that you can share with me. If you launched a campaign successfully, if you want to come on the show because you've surpassed your goal, all of that kind of stuff is welcome. And in addition, if you are ready to take the next step. I mean, if you've been listening to this episode, you have a sense for how to launch a campaign. If you've been listening to some of my other episodes on this podcast, you have a bit of a clearer idea of how to launch. But really, I want to take it a step further. Now, I really want to give you the proven strategies that work to get funding on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. I want to introduce you to some of these psychological tricks and triggers that you can use to move people from website visitors into actual backers of your Kickstarter campaign. There are so many more topics under the sun that we can talk about, from PR to actually how to rank better on Kickstarter. If you do want access to more of my premium training, some of my more in-depth courses, that kind of stuff, I've put together a free course for you, which you can check out at crowdcrux.com/crowdfunding. So this course will introduce you to some of these concepts, but really it's in more of my premium training. It's in more of my one-on-one mentoring and the other courses that I put together that you actually find more of these lessons, though I will introduce them to you with my free course. So if you want to check that out, you can go to crowdcrux.com/crowdfunding and enroll there. It is free. But thank you for listening to this episode. As always, I appreciate you, and I will see you next time.